Good evening and welcome back. I'm Teddy, and tonight it's D for default. Analyze this mess because somebody has to say it. Default, it's not just a legal term, but as a turning point is what I'll be talking about very briefly. In court, default means someone didn't show up, didn't respond, didn't defend, and the system doesn't wait forever. When a defendant refuses to engage, whether by avoiding service, missing deadlines, or hiding behind anonymous filings, they risk one thing: losing by silence. The court calls it default judgment. I call it what happens when you think you're smarter than the system and the system catches up. Default is not a loophole. It's not a shortcut for the plaintiff. It's the consequence of someone else choosing not to show up. And the court takes it seriously. Default means the facts as filed are accepted as true, not because they're unchallengeable, but because no one bothered to challenge them. So when May 23rd hits, that deadline we've been watching, it's not just about dough. It's about whether silence and stalling finally meet their match. That's when D for deadline becomes D for default, and the record becomes reality. I like that one, so I just want to play it again. I found that one as I was looking for tracks and I came across it. I may have played it before, but I like it. I do. So it is D for default. We're learning. This is educational. This is fair use commentary. And we can just talk about, the meaning of it, right? So if you've been following this case at all, right now, as it stands, there was an entry some time ago for default. All right. Default. Those of you who have followed me know that I was looking to, get some documents into the court. That time came and passed. I believe it was, the first time. Let's see. I believe it was March the 13th. Okay. For the record, let's look when default was entered. Yes. Did I say March 13th? It was March 13th. And it was the clerk's entry of default. All right. And then, right after that, there was an order to show cause. And so that meant I was given a certain deadline or time to get information back and show that the defendant had been properly served. I know people are watching me. I know they are listening to everything I'm saying. So I wanted to be clear when I use that term, default, because right now, as it stands, it's default. There hasn't been any objection to that yet. But we have to go beyond that. So there's default. The clerk enters default. And then there's what is called default judgment. Okay. So we're not there yet. Okay, it's look at 2 steps. But if you listened closely to what I said, it's the next step in the process that I was just about at that point. Mm-hmm. And then activity began on the side of someone showing up. The first to show up was an motion to quash. Okay. It came in by a John Doe. And it was filed on the 25th of April, and it was entered on the 6th of May. Right? A motion to quash the subpoena that was served on block, also known as, or formally, some people say, Cash App. So right now, that is at the center of this case in terms of decisions to be made. And that's a step that is hard and fast right now because Friday is coming up, May the 23rd, and the judge made a ruling on the 14th. Again, I'm just looking at this. It was, yes, the 14th of May. There were so many things coming in here. Let me just look. It was called an order requiring responsive pleading. And I'm going to just view the docket here and remind those who may have missed it. It was in order to respond to non-party John Doe's motion to quash. Okay. I will get to the second part. I'll read it. It says Evans served subpoena under Federal Rule of Civil Procedure 45 on non-party Block Incorporated Cash App seeking production of information about accounts linked to Robertson. Non-party John Doe moves to quash the subpoena or for a protective order. In a separate order, the court directed Doe to disclose his identity by May 23rd, 2025. Once he has done so, Evans must respond to the motion to quash by June 6, 2025, and Doe must reply by June 13, 2025. So in terms of responding, and that's high and near and close right now, is the 23rd. Now, John Doe filed a motion to stay. Okay. To stay this order so that he would not have to disclose his identity and that his information would remain sealed. Okay, hang on for a second. I'm taking my time, as I usually do. Okay, but it's not going to be a long time. Just want to, just looking at these documents and want to get the dates and the times correct. All right. So now let me go to the filings. And I just want to show my audience what's on the history file so far, okay? Because there's a lot to walk through. I'm going to try to make a quick copy. That way I can throw it up. Let me put up a cover. Bear with me. You know, when you're doing something and it's live, you know what? There's so many filings that maybe I should just put it up. Okay. So hang on. See if I can move my clock or my countdown. Make it large enough you can see it. Wow. And now, okay. Let me know if you can see that all right. Give me a thumbs up. Because, you know what, let me just move something off another screen because I can't. I'm just going to small something down so I can see it. Now I can tell you can see it just clearly. All right, so I'm just going to roll it real quick. So we had a motion to quash that came in that I mentioned, all right? And since that time, there's been orders, motions to compel, motions to dismiss, exhibits, motions to seal, to strike, objections, responses, notices, orders requiring responsive pleading. That's the one that I mentioned that came in from the judge on the 14th of May. I just read a portion of that. And then we have motion to set aside, motion to compel, exhibits, responses, response to a motion. And then we come to John Doe's motion to stay. Okay, this one here, number 47. There was a motion to stay that appears that it's similar. There was a correction, I believe, that was made to it. I have not been able to identify just yet what the difference is between the two 17 pages of filing. So each one is 17 pages. You know, they look the same, they kind of end the same. Maybe there's a word or two or a sentence. I don't know. I haven't found it yet. But the number 47 is supposed to be the corrected one. All right. So this is important, this motion to stay. 17 pages, I believe I said. Then there was a notice behind that. And then comes 49. A response to a motion that I made. A motion to compel. I've made several motions. That one is, if you get a chance to look at it, there's a lot that has been filed. I thought I put it up for everyone to see. Everyone doesn't have access to Pacer, but these are filings. They're public. People can go and take a look at them. All right. And I can review. I could open one up just now. Okay. All I'd have to do is just click on the number and it would appear. Okay. Now, since that motion to stay, that was on the 15th, it is the 20th of May. There have been responses. That was a big one, 49. And then some filings that I've made myself. Motion to compel, motion to compel. There's different people, there's different things, there's different responses. All right. People are filing things. It's not just John. Remember, there's Jane. I'm going to call Jane Doe. Okay. Who is now saying they've been improperly named. Mm-hmm. Okay. There's a lot going on in these filings. Motion after motion after motion after, supplemental notices and so forth and so on. And today, John filed yet another motion. I saw it this afternoon come in. Number 54, it's a motion for reconsideration after he's already filed a motion to stay. Anything can happen. I need to make that clear. Although the clock says 2 days, 0 hours, 9 minutes, and 4 seconds, anything can happen. The judge can rule, or I'll just say, I don't know what's going to happen. Right now, there's a date. It's 2 days, 0 hours, 8 minutes, and 25 seconds that John is supposed to respond to disclose his real identity, in writing to the judge. Okay. Anything can happen. Anything. But I wanted to show you that. I'm not going to go through all of the documents. Not tonight. It would take a lot of time. I could even highlight and point things out. Well, but it's there for all to see. I am within my right to discuss and give commentary about my case. It's serious. Okay. Friday will be a turning point. I mentioned that. If it continues to go forward to Friday. Okay. If it goes to Friday, I don't know what's going to happen on Friday. I don't. And I will leave it at that. Okay. So I am certain John Doe is looking at the, dockets of reports or documents, history file, what I have before you, the filings, to see if there is a response to the motion to stay and or the motion for reconsideration. Okay. I'm not going to say what I'm going to do or say or what. I'm the plaintiff. You can expect, let me just say this. Of course, you can expect the obvious. I'm looking at the history, filing. So I'm going to do that. I'll be looking at that, right? And I will be working to, I've got a lot to read. I have a lot on my plate right now because all of these motions and responses and orders and notices and all these filings, objections require a response. Mm-hmm. And there are a lot of them. Okay. So now, let me do this. Hang on. Out of the way. And are we set again? We are. All right. It is just about midnight. Let me come out to the chat and take a look at some of your comments. Please be respectful in the bear cave. You can email me right now at unwinewithteddy@gmail.com. And I've received some emails. I appreciate that. LaDonna right at the bottom says, biggest bear hugs, Miss Teddy. And I see my moderators, baby Juju, who says, thanks to everyone for supporting Unwind with Teddy. And Vicky Black, good evening, says, follow Unwind with Teddy. Mm-hmm. D for Danielle on Station Head. Yes, you can do that. There is so much that could be said. There is so much that is being said in these filings. Yeah. And I do not take for granted anything. 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 I don't want people to, think that I'm looking at this. It's not my decision. The judge has to weigh in the balance. And, justice is supposed to be blind. That's why you see Lady Justice. I believe that's what it's called. She's got, with the blindfold on her. Yeah. But, both sides, the plaintiff and the defendants, have an opportunity to put forth, their position, to defend. I'm the plaintiff, right? So I've put forward my complaint in case it has a number. There's a lot of activity. I want you to see that, because I could say, oh, there's a lot. But as you can tell, even when I say we're up to 54, just seeing it and seeing, some of what the names of it, you can only imagine. Even if you read something one time, that's not enough. I have gone back and I've read, I've been looking for, things as I've had to respond, and they're coming in, at a rapid pace, and a lot of them. So I have to carefully look at everything. Just like I said, number 7, what was it? The number? Oh, let's go back to it. (46) and 47 are the motion to stay. So I have to carefully, read through them both to see, what the difference is. What was the correction in the second document? Okay. But there's other things that I'm, trying to get through. Yeah, at the same time. So let's get to these comments. Let me know if the background music is okay. Thank you. Gia says, Teddy, just take your time. You're doing good. Joanne says, I'm drinking me some anonymous coffee. Yeah. Let's see. Fair use commentary. Yes, John wants to remain anonymous. I'll leave it at that because I've talked about, just a little bit. Mm-hmm. Yes, you can support this channel. It's really simple. You can do it right now by giving it a thumbs up. Just that easy. And that doesn't cost any money. Because I don't. Yeah. I appreciate all of you. Yeah, just for being here. Just for supporting when you show up, when you make comments, and you send me emails, you share your opinion, even if it's a difference of opinion. It's welcome here in the Bear Cave so long as it is respectful. Do you know? I know you guys want to know something. I think, and I've said this, it can take some twists and some turns. And this certainly is one twist in it. John, I didn't know there was a John Doe. And recall what I said the other night. John said he is a man. He said Jane is a woman. I think. Did he say Jane or Danielle? You know what? I have to go back. I could be misquoting. But there's supposed to be a man and a male and a female. Let's just put it out like that. That's what John said. There's a male and there's a female. That would make it easier for me. Okay? Yeah. So we've got, according to John Doe, he's a man, and then there's a woman. Okay. Male and female. Now, I don't know because right now people are anonymous. So I don't know. And it's okay that I say I don't know. I am not Houdini. Even if someone comes to the mic and they speak a certain way, I don't know. I don't. Good evening, Cups of Conversations says, anything that is said in this chat by me is alleged and my opinion. Thank you for saying that. It has nothing to do with Teddy. I am just inquiring. It really does feel like that. Cups of Conversation to follow says, this is really hashtag Dogate. It is mysterious on some level. It is. It is a mystery now. Mm-hmm. Let me go up maybe to some of you who came in. I see Joanne, LaDonna, Gia Papaya. I'm reading from the bottom up. Latoya. Yes, it is mind-blowing. A lot, it is. And this activity by Jane and John Doe did not begin until after it's said that Block Cash App was just about to release something. And then motion to quash. That doesn't mean it's quash. It's a motion to quash because remember, I have been given a deadline contingent. Well, the way the judge wrote it, May 23rd, and then I need to give a response to the motion to quash, and then John has to give a response to my motion. Yeah. So it's still going to be a little bit, I think. At least on the calendar, it's probably going to be. We'll just see. I don't know. We have to get to Friday. No, we have to get beyond Friday. Yeah. Yeah. And the weekend. So, and it is, by the way, a holiday weekend. And I have been so, involved with everything. I know the holiday is coming up. It's going to be Memorial Day on Monday. That is the 26th. So the courts will be closed on Monday for holiday. Yeah. So it's going to be a long weekend, and, you're going to be with your family, your friends, and some of you in, remembrance of family members that have served in memorial, of them, the veterans. Yeah. And some will celebrate, just the holiday. Yeah. So we'll go on with our normal activities. Yeah. And that'll be it. I'm just looking at something. Comment. Gia says, OMG, all this court verbiage. Verbiage. I know it's a lot. A lot of filing, a lot of back and forth. That's what it is. Yeah. Motions and responses and more motions and objections and yes. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I have to read your comment and just throw it up. It is mind-blowing. It is. Mm-hmm. And still we have, 1 day, 23 hours, 48 minutes, and 15 seconds. And I'm not just talking about John Doe, the judge. Yeah. Anything can happen, people. Something can come in. We don't know. I don't know. I don't know. I know I have a D for duty. Duty to respond. And I plan to do my duty. Yes, I do. All right. Let's see. Somebody sent me I have to look, a track to play a couple of days, maybe 2 or 3 days ago. Yeah, send it again. It's probably way down there. I should have played it. When you sent it, I remember. I'll have to go back through it. It was right at the end of the broadcast. So if you're listening, you can send it again. Yeah. It's J&J. That's right. Not Johnson and Johnson, but Jane and John, or John and Jane. Let's see. A lot. Yes, it's true. I know it's a lot for everyone who's looking at this. There's, I have not been reading all of these documents. Cups of Conversation says, we don't know what we don't know. We just pray the justice system look through this with their bird's eye on it. Yeah. I know people are watching me. Not a ghost. You say good thing knew the motion to seal was terminated. Well, there's been a motion to the motion, to the judge's order. I mean, and part of the motion to stay, another notice, is a couple of things. One, John Doe wants to remain anonymous, completely. Information is information, and disclosure of his identity. So I can't say there's still a request out there. Nothing has been final yet. We still, look at the clock. It's one day, 23 hours, 43 minutes, and 32 seconds. And also, by the way, as a person who, filing in this case, responses and that, sometimes, depending on what time of the day that you either upload or, bring documents or take documents to the court, they may not get entered, and you've seen that. They're filed typically on one day, and the next day they will show up on the record. Or, in some cases, they can show up on the same day. Yeah. Yes. There's some other things that I talked about just briefly that John put in his, different motions, or one that I had looked at. Yeah. I've looked at them all. I just need to reread them, and again, and maybe again and again. Mm-hmm. Yes. John Doe admitted that, did he say Daniel had access? Use the Cash App. Yeah. So that came out. Mm-hmm. There's some other things that have been said. Mhm. So, that little, just that little picture of that little Cash App picture I put up before. It might go up again. I don't know. Where it says it's free money. Because I asked the question, during my commentary discussion, I said, well, now John Doe says he's the owner, the sole owner of the Cash App. And then, of course, I called, with Cash App, and you heard the gentleman on the phone talking about, what the requirements are and instruments that can be used. And one is either your checking account, your credit card, a debit card can also be used. Mhm. Or the Cash App card, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. So, someone's name is really on that Cash App because it's linked to a financial institution. And it's money. It says Cash App, which is money. Cash is money, but we're talking about money that goes into, electronically deposited and or debited. Some comes in, some goes out. And it's a transaction. An electronic, you know, yeah, transaction. There can be some transactions. You can just have a friend and, well, let me not talk about different transactions. Let's stick with this one. Electronic transaction. Hmm. Yeah. So I found out that John Doe is the sole owner. One person per Cash App is registered. Mhm. But I did learn from, the Cash App guy said the only way that someone can get access to your account is if they have your information, like they have your logon, they have passwords, they can get access. That means they can look at the account. Yes, if someone has access, they can look at your statements and they can look at the balance and whatever else is there. They can look and see who is, who's made a transaction or where these transactions are coming from. So, yeah. So, one would have to conclude that, well, he said it, all but said it. They are familiar with one another, and I do recall John saying something to that effect, although John said he didn't know me. Yeah, I don't know John, and John doesn't know me. But he does know Danielle. Because you would have to, you just wouldn't let anyone have access to your, your money, would you? Your passcodes and stuff. You would have to know them. And I said that even before I learned that, based on just saying if someone is making transactions, then they would have to know that individual, or at least I presume they would. So we learned that. You know, it's just about 12:30, and I've been on for 57 minutes, almost 58 minutes, which is what I had in mind. I'm usually on for an hour, maybe sometimes less. Okay. That's it for now. Yeah. Whether or not I will come on tomorrow morning, if I do, it may be early. If you missed it, this morning I came on. It was around 8:15. I thought, you know what? If I can come on and finish up before 9, then I can get things done. So I may be doing that if I come on early. Yeah. And then that way, if, if, okay. So keep your bare phones on, and, look out for any posts on the community wall, and email me if you like. Yeah. But I think that's going to do it for me tonight. Analyze this mess. It's D for default because somebody has to say it. Thanks for watching. Until next time, I'm Teddy. Good night.